What's going on, folks? This is Shadow Stars coming at you folks with another video. Today's video, I'm going to break it down into three parts. First part, I'm going to cover another YouTuber. I've covered him before, but there's a couple videos he's recently put out that I'd like to review and go over. So the first part's going to cover that. The second part, I'm going to give you just a brief update of how the domestic box office is doing. Just to show you the figures, see how it lines up with projections. And then the last part 3, I'm going to give you a brief glimpse into a project that I'm going to revitalize and kind of refresh. It's something that I used to do way back in 2021. It's about an ETF tracking system that I used to do pretty regularly, but I kind of stopped doing it because of the amount of time it consumed, and just really I didn't think anyone was interested in it. But you know what? I can cut down on how often I update it, but nonetheless, this data could really be used to show you the movements. And I'll explain later when I get to that section of the video. But without further ado, let's go to the first section where I'm going to cover this YouTuber called Donnahue George. This guy has a 15,000 plus subscriber following on YouTube. He's got several people following him on his other social media accounts. And there's 3 videos I'd like to cover from him. So without further ado, let's rock and roll.
This is not financial advice. Hit the like button, subscribe button with somebody. Okay, a little aggressive. They made me think about something. And I want to share it with you guys. And I want you guys to blockbusters. Billions of dollars of blockbusters. So, I don't believe that AMC is in as much debt as they put out.
Okay, so he thinks AMC isn't in as much debt as they put out. So how do you interpret that? Are you saying that AMC is lying on their 10Q filing? 10Q filing tells you exactly how much revenue they're making, how much from admissions, food and beverage, their total revenue. They talk about their cost, film exhibition cost, food and beverage cost, etc. So are you saying that AMC, they're lying and they're reporting that when they're being audited, I believe their auditor is Ernst Young. Are you saying they're lying, that they're being malicious? What are you talking about?
Okay, I believe the debt should have been reduced a lot more than it is. And if we do have all that debt, it's because they want us to have all that debt. Because they're allocating the resources somewhere else. Okay, go.
They're allocating their resources somewhere else? What are you talking about? Are you saying that they've created some sort of like slush fund where they're hiding their money? What they got bank accounts in the Caymans? They're storing away money? Like, what are you talking about?
Well, and I want y'all to just do these numbers with me for a little while. We've had billions. Look, Avatar's probably at 2 billion already. At the end of this long weekend, we had Black Panther. We had Adam. We had Maverick. We had all these blockbuster movies that made billions of dollars.
Okay, so let's pull that stuff up. So domestic box office for 2022. The site I reference is Box Office Mojo. Pretty reputable site to get the domestic box office gross, but also you can get international gross too. So you can look at some of the big hits: Top Gun, Black Panther, Doctor Strange, Avatar, etc. Top Gun, we know that 700 plus mil domestic. Yes, worldwide it did over $1 billion, nearly 1.5 billion. Black Panther, yes, over 400 million domestic, worldwide nearly over 800 million. He talked about Avatar, yes, domestic over 500 mil, worldwide nearly 2 bill. So the numbers that's being stated, they aren't really wrong. Sure, you got billions of dollars being accounted for when you add in Top Gun, Black Panther, Avatar, etc. You can probably add in Doctor Strange too. Doctor Strange, how did Doctor Strange do? 400 mil plus in domestic, nearly $1 billion worldwide. Yeah, you had all these movies that did great if you combine domestic and international. But the key point to understand in this figure is that AMC doesn't own every single theater in the world. AMC doesn't even own all the theaters domestically. So when you're saying that, oh, look, all these movies are doing billions of dollars, where are those billions allocated? When you look at Avatar, what's the percentage breakdown? Domestic versus international. Domestic, 30% basically. International, nearly 70%. What portion of international movie theaters does AMC own? Has Donnie, have you read a 10Q? Have you read where AMC operates their business? Do you know what countries they have them in? You know what? Let's scroll down because they'll tell you exactly what countries they operate in. That talks about all their debt, their equity, income tax. Okay, come on. Let's see. You know what? You know what? Apologize for this. I thought it'd be up early. It'd be easier to find than this. That'd be further up in the filing. What I'm going to do? I'm going to search United Kingdom. There we go. Oh, I missed it. It was under operating segments. So it tells you. The company identified 2 reportable segments and reporting units for its theatrical exhibition operations, U.S. markets and international markets. The international markets reportable segment has operations in or partial interest in theaters in the United Kingdom. So pay attention. United Kingdom, Germany, Spain, Italy, Ireland, Portugal, Sweden, Finland, Norway, Denmark, and Saudi Arabia. So you want to pull up Avatar, your domestic figure, your international figure. If we look at just Europe, look at the big grossing countries in Europe. I see France. Does AMC have theaters in France? Is France on this list, Donnie? No, I don't see France listed on here. What else? Germany. Is Germany on there? Bit less than France. Yes, Germany is on there. What else has a big portion? United Kingdom. Yes. AMC has some theaters in the United Kingdom. And the other countries. All of that makes up this whole region. Europe and Middle East and Africa. All these millions, they add up. Look at Latin America. Does AMC operate any theaters in that region? No. What about Asia? Do they have Australia, Hong Kong, India, Japan? Look at South Korea, another massive market. No. What about China? Massive market. Yeah, when you use that 1.9 billion figure worldwide, majority is coming from your international base. Basically 70% of the gross is from international. But guess what? AMC doesn't own a big chunk of this international, or a majority of it, I should rather say. I'm going to pull up the figures here. When you add up the countries, Denmark, Finland, Germany, Italy, Norway, Portugal, Spain, Sweden, United Kingdom, all you get is 282 million. Of all the theaters in those countries, does AMC own every single one of them in that country? No. So you're only getting a portion of this 282 million. Now the domestic figure, 572 million. Does AMC own all the theaters in the domestic market? No. So you're only getting a portion of the domestic market gross too. Furthermore, when you sell those tickets, is AMC profiting off of, are they getting 100% of that ticket revenue? No. They pay some of that back to the production studios. They don't get 100% of it. Come on. You should know this. What you're saying right now, blatant lie. It's obvious misinformation. But let's see what else you say.
But here's the thing. A majority of AMC's money is not from ticket sales. They get a percentage of the ticket sales. Yes, they make money on the ticket sales.
Oh, you even acknowledge they make a percentage on the ticket sales.
But a majority of their money is on the popcorn, on the soda, on the...
Okay, so you need to clarify. Are you talking about revenue or are you talking about profit? Your net income? You're a person into real estate. You're into stocks. You should know the difference between revenue and net income. Net profit. You should understand profit margins. Come on, Donnie.
the candy. I mean, what's the profit on a $10 bucket of popcorn? $9.50? What's the profit on a $5 soda? $4.50? The profit on the concessions is off the charts. So if we had...
Yes, I'll agree. Concessions, your popcorn, your candy, your other foods, you have a higher margin. That's why. Let's pull up the 10Q. You got to read this stuff, Donnie. I don't think you do. Look at your admissions. When you look at straight just revenue, you bring in more revenue in your admissions than your food and beverage. But let's say you do a straight calculation of admissions revenue minus film exhibition cost versus your food and beverage revenue minus your food and beverage cost. What portion gives you a greater margin? So for example, I pulled this up for your domestic box office using domestic revenue along with domestic box office figures. And we can see your ticket profit when you had 417 mil approximately from admissions revenue, subtract your 212 mil from film exhibitions, you get your ticket quote unquote profit of 205 mil approximately. Your food and beverage revenue, 272 mil approximate, subtract your food and beverage cost of nearly 44 million, food and beverage profit quote unquote, 228. So yes, if you look at Q2 and Q3, your food and beverage quote-unquote profit is greater than your quote-unquote ticket profit. You bring in less overall in that revenue, but you keep a greater majority of that. You have a much greater profit margin on that. That's not wrong. But let's see, what else do you say?
Billions of dollars in ticket sales.
Okay, hold on. Are they making billions of dollars in ticket sales? Q3. No. Oops. Sorry. 500 mil, 600 mil, 400 mil. You combine it for all of the first 3 months. Last 9 months, last 3 quarters. Yeah, your admissions revenue is 1.6 billion. If you combine the last 9 months. But what about your food and beverage revenue? It's still under 1 bill. What are you talking about, man?
You gotta have probably 10 times that in concession sales.
Are you kidding me? Read the figure. So you're saying this should be 10 times your admissions revenue? So let's say do you want to go back? Let's see all their filings then. So let's say that this figure is wrong. How far back do you want to go? You want to go back to, let's say, their end of 2016, their 10K. We're looking at an annual now. Food and beverage has always been less revenue-wise than their admissions. So they've been fudging up the numbers for years on end, you're saying? Is that what you're telling me, Donnie?
So how are we still in debt to the tune of $5 billion unless
How are you in debt? How about you look at the 10Q filings? How about you look at your financial statement? Look at your operating cost. Your total revenue is 9 for Q3. Your total revenue was under a bill. But guess what? Your operating cost was more than $1 billion. When you're spending, your operating cost is greater than the money you bring in, guess what? You have an operating loss. You're losing money. Factor in your other expenses like your corporate borrowings, the money you need to pay for your debt. That's when you have a net loss of $226.9 million just for Q3 alone, 2022. If you read something like this, Donnie, you wouldn't be so confused.
they want us to be in debt to the tune of $5 billion? I think we need to get an account to go in and go through those books and see where the money's being allocated. Because with billions of dollars in sales and probably 10 times that in concession sales, how are we still $5 billion in debt unless the
And let's just think about this just logically. Let's say, for example, you're one person. You go to the movie theaters. You buy a ticket. Let's say your ticket's $10. If you're saying concession sales would be 10 times that of your tickets. Your food and beverage, your concessions is 10 times that of your ticket. How much money does a person need to spend if it needs to be 10 times? If a ticket is $10, how much in concessions do they need to spend? Seriously, do you know basic math, Donnie? I don't think you understand what you're saying.
sources, the money generated is being allocated elsewhere. I think we need to get an accountant in there to look at those books, because with all these billions of dollars in ticket sales and multi-billions of dollars in concession sales, the debt makes no sense to me now. It's not making sense.
It doesn't make sense, Donnie, because you don't seem to be reading the financial information, the financial statements. If you read this, you would understand. I'm sorry, man. There's no conspiracy. So your whole title, AMC makes more in concession sales than ticket sales? You're talking about straight revenue? No. You're talking about profit? Perhaps. A lot more debt should have been paid off? No. They are not operating at a positive cash flow. They have a net earnings loss. They have a loss. They're not doing a net profit. How are they going to pay off more debt if they're burning money every quarter? The only money they're making, the only way they're able to load up their cash equivalents, their war chest, is through dilution. This is just basic stuff if you would bother to read a 10Q, a 10K statement. You are pushing the wrong information. You are misinforming your audience. So you say billions of dollars in AMC ticket sales last year, which means multi-billions of dollars in concession sales. Pull up the 10K. You can pull up one from pre-pandemic. You are absolutely delusional. You are lying to your audience. So let's see. Next video. And you say, why are the AMC shills afraid of transparency? Yikes. Well, no problem. I'm being fully transparent. I'm pulling the data right from the SEC Edgar website. from the SEC. This is the same information AMC posts on their website. So there's no, I'm being fully transparent. How about you, Donnie? Are you pulling numbers out of thin air? I'm not.
This is not legal, right? But no YouTube algorithms. Listen, I made a few comments yesterday and the day before about Adam Aaron about AMC. I don't hate AMC. If I hated AMC, if I didn't think it was a great company, I wouldn't be involved in the play. I believe AMC is a great company with great fundamentals.
Did you just say great fundamentals? How much money have they burned in the last 9 months? They have burned over almost $700 million. They are not cash flow positive. Look at their total revenues. 2.92 billion in total revenues. Their operating cost expenses, 3.2 billion. Their operating loss is nearly 300 million over the last 3 quarters. They have a debt of more than $5 billion, corporate borrowings of nearly $5.2 billion. Normally, the amount of debt isn't too concerning if you're able to generate a net profit. But you're not doing that right now. So you're saying you believe in their fundamentals? You obviously haven't read the financial statements.
I mean, Warren Buffett said that you should invest in a company that you know, that you understand. I understand that you buy movie tickets and you sell popcorn. I mean, it's a simple business plan. It doesn't require that much knowledge. So
it's a little bit more complicated than that, Donnie, and that's why you think AMC financially is doing well right now.
So for people to think that I don't understand how AMC works, that they think that I hate AMC, I do not hate AMC. I wouldn't be invested if I hated AMC. But here's the thing. The AMC shills are afraid of transparency. They're afraid of the questions I ask. I just ask for questions to explain what's going on with AMC.
Nothing wrong with asking questions. But what I want to ask you is, have you read these financial statements? Have you read the 10Qs? Have you read the 10Ks? Do you understand the line items that's being explained here? Do you understand what these figures represent? A lot of the questions that you're asking and a lot of the insinuations, a lot of things you insinuate make absolutely no sense if you understand and if you read these reports.
To explain the actions of Adam Aaron, actions that I think are contrary to the needs of the retail investors, actions that I think are contrary to the long-term goals of AMC. So when I ask these questions, the shills get upset. They go crazy. They are afraid of transparency. He's operating at a loss. So you're like, okay, you're operating at a loss. But then, for the last 2 years, you see he sold billions of dollars of hamburgers, billions of dollars of fries, but he's still telling you he's operating at a loss.
Show me, where are they selling billions of dollars of concessions? Show me where. Last 9 months, they're under $1 billion. Where are you getting your figures? What source can you... Where's your source? Where's your information? Show me where. If you can show me exactly where you're getting the information saying that, hey, they're selling billions of dollars in concessions, billions of dollars of hamburgers. Okay, maybe I'll believe you. But you're not showing any sources. Where's your transparency?
So, in your mind, you're going to think, either there's total mismanagement going on, or maybe there's something more nefarious going on. But
the only thing nefarious is you not disclosing where you're getting your data, showing your short source to back up your claims that, oh, AMC shouldn't be in this much debt. They're making all this money and they're not allocating it right. That's the nefarious one. You're the one who's being nefarious. I'm showing you exactly where you can get this information. It's public information. You got a computer, you got internet, go to the SEC Edgar website, type in AMC, pull up their most recent 10Q, and you can see this information that I have pulled up right now. You don't have to pay for this. It's absolutely free.
Would you be outside of your scope of thinking to get your own accountant to go through the books and see where these billions of dollars are going? If you've been operating at a loss, but you've been making billions of dollars, and 2 years later you're still operating at a loss, that would lead any prudent business owner to bring in their own accountant to go through the books. And because I think somebody needs to go through the books, concessions than ticket sales. I mean, anybody who says different hasn't been to the movies. You end up spending more in concessions than ticket sales. I mean, anybody who says different hasn't been to the movies. And if
Okay. So let's see. You're saying that each person spends more on concessions than tickets. So what is your average per patron? Oops, they don't have it. Patron. Do they have it? They don't always write it on every single quarterly report. So let's see. Do they give you how much they spent? Okay. So this is from their condensed consolidated results of operations. So that should combine both international and U.S. markets. So food and beverage, about 663 to 627 per patron. You have a big bias thinking that every single person that buys a ticket spends tons of dollars buying popcorn, buying sodas, buying candy, buying other food. That's your bias. But there's plenty of other folks who only buy a movie ticket. Not every single person shells out $20, $30, $40 in concessions. And the figures reported on the 10Qs and the 10Ks tell it. When has this food and beverage per patron figure ever been greater than your average cost of ticket sales? I'll wait. Tell me, when has that ever occurred? You're always going to get folks who spend less. They only buy the ticket. And AMC doesn't make much off just the ticket sales. They need the concessions, where they have the greater margin, the profit margins.
you go with little kids, forget about it. Forget about it. So,
Also, one thing you need to figure out, attendance. Let's figure. Where's their table? There's the table where they talk about their attendance. Attendance in thousands. 53 million folks attended in the last 3 months. 151 million in the last 9 months. How's that compared to what they were doing previously? So let's see, attendance. Let's see, did I skip it? Oh, sorry, this is a 10K, so that won't be as much of help. Let's pull up a pre-pandemic one. I pulled up Q3 of 2022, so let's pull up a Q3 of 2019. All from the SEC Edgar website. No trickery here. This is all being transparent. Oh, did I miss the table? Nope. Sorry, come on. Let's scroll through. Bam, look. Attendance. 87 million in 3 months for Q3 2019. You compare it to what they just did Q3 2022. 87 mil versus 53 mil. You got less people going to the theaters. You have less foot traffic. meaning you have less people spending money concessions. Overall, your revenue is going to be massively down. The numbers don't lie. Your revenue total was under $1 billion. You look at revenue for 2019 Q3, over $1.3 billion. Admissions revenue, almost 800 mil versus 545. 420 mil in food and beverage versus 333. Yes, your average per patron, that figure might go up. But guess what? Things also became a lot more expensive. Inflation. But let's see what else you have to say.
Think about that for a second. And you know the profit margin in those, in the popcorn, in the candy, in the soda, in the nachos, and for 2 years you're still running and operating at a loss? Maybe it's some mismanagement. Something is going on that requires an accountant to take a look at. And because I ask those questions, I'm the bad guy. Because I want transparency for the company that I own a part of.
Quite simply, you can pull up more and more of these 10Qs. What I've done is I've pulled up the 10Qs and I've looked at the margins. Look at what percentage of their admissions revenue. Right here. What's the admissions revenue out of their total revenue? What percentage is the admissions out of their cost out of the admissions? Look at that percentage. Has it changed much from pre-pandemic to post-pandemic? Same thing, your food and beverage percentage. How much has that changed? It really hasn't changed much. So where is the mismanagement occurring? The mismanagement is merely just the whole business model. It's just not as profitable. You need a lot of people coming through. You don't make much off the ticket sales, but you need a lot of people buying concessions. You need that soda sale. You need that popcorn sale. You need that hot dog, hamburger, nacho, whatever. You need those sales. And because, as we see, your attendance was down from 50 something mil versus, 80 something mil? That's where your problem is. You got a lot less people coming in. Because you have a lot less people coming in, spending less money on your concessions, hey, you're operating at a larger loss. You don't need to be an accountant to know that, Donnie. If you read financial statements, if you would understand it, you would understand the situation too. But unfortunately, I don't think you're reading it. Or if you do, you don't understand it. That's why you come up with some sort of conspiracy saying that, you know what? AMC isn't allocating their resources. They should be making billions of dollars in concessions. They should be making billions of dollars in ticket sales. They should be paying off their debt more. No. They can't pay off their debt because they're not making money, Donnie. Simple math.
I'm the bad guy. How am I the bad guy? Because I want to know where the money's going.
Read the financial statements, Donnie. Did you go to university? Did you graduate high school? Do you have a high school diploma? Have you taken basic math classes? If you've done that, if you've passed high school math classes, you should understand basic concepts of, hey, if you're making more money, if your revenue is greater than your operating costs, if it's greater than all the other payments you need to make, your interest payments, your corporate borrowing, your debt payments, if you have a net profit, your company's making money. But guess what? If your operating costs are greater than your total revenue, on top of that, you need to make interest payments, you need to make debt payments, and if you operate at a net loss, you're burning money. That's not a difficult concept to understand, Donnie.
I believe they're operating at a loss on purpose. And that's just my opinion. I'm not saying to buy or to sell.
So AMC's, you think they're operating on a loss on purpose? Wow. You think a company wants to purposely run itself at a loss? They've been burning millions of dollars every quarter. So you're saying that's all done on purpose. It's one thing if you want to operate at a loss temporarily to maybe push out the competition. You see that in the automotive sector. Yeah, you want to sell your vehicles cheaper. You want to grab bigger market share and kick out the smaller brands. Yeah, that makes sense. But AMC isn't doing that. Come on, Donnie.
See, I'm not telling you to agree with me. But if you're running a business and something doesn't look right, you're within your rights to ask for an accountant.
Yeah, that's true. But guess what? Your initial assumptions, the supposed information you're basing your assumptions on, are faulty. That's why people mock you. But let's see. Final video, short 3-minute video.
Advice, not legal advice. They have something negative to say. And one thing they've started, I guess, focusing on is the fact that sometimes I mess up words a little bit when I speak.
Nope, I'm not attacking on that. I'm not a shill, but you know what? I'm attacking the facts. You're not spreading the right information. You are spreading misinformation, sir. For someone that's into supporting the company AMC, if you're bullish on it, you should be spreading the right information. It's one thing to skew the facts. It's one thing to skew the numbers. It's a whole nother thing to completely misrepresent it and tell you the wrong figures.
And I have like a speech impediment, but not, and a gentleman ran the light. Well, I'm not sure if it's a gentleman or a female, but they ran the light, they hit and run, and they knocked me off the bike. And I didn't have a helmet on. And what happened was, I get a girlfriend, and I was really that messed up. And when I was eventually released from the hospital, but I want to show y'all why sometimes words don't come out right, and it's only a hole in my tongue. Too fast. I want to complain about how I...
Nope, I don't see anything relevant about this. But guess what? I'm engaging you on the facts. I'm showing you where I'm getting the information directly from the SEC website. You can pull up the box office figures. These figures line up pretty closely with what Cinemark will talk about on their quarterly earnings and their annual earnings calls. Same thing with AMC. These are reputable sources of information, especially the SEC filings, unless you have some sort of conspiracy stating that, you know what, maybe all these companies are blatantly lying on their reports, and the auditors are also complicit in the lying. They're fudging the numbers, unless that's your claim. Occam's razor, man. You really think all those various of different things are going down? You got companies lying to their public shareholders. You think no shareholder will ever look into the numbers and think that, you know what, this doesn't make sense? You think that, oh, you got tons of auditing firms and you're saying that, oh, they're complicit in lying for the companies, and the SEC has never caught on to any of this stuff? Yikes, man. I'm sorry, but the data is clear as day. If you would read and understand this, there's nothing surprising. You scream manipulation, you scream crime, you're saying, oh, these are malicious, nefarious, etc. No. It's because you don't do your actual research. You don't do your actual due diligence. You think you're doing due diligence, but you're not. So sorry, Donnie. You need to stop making all these videos, spreading all this misinformation. You're misleading folks. Sure, you tell them, hey, it's not financial advice. Oh, don't go buy and sell. But you know what? I'm super bullish on this company. But if you pump out false information about a company that you like, you're constantly hyping it, you're constantly making tons of videos every single day, what's that really say? It is what it is. But you know what? I'm going to wrap that up here for the first part, and I'm going to try to speed through the next couple parts here. So, oops, let me close out some of these tabs. So we look at the daily figures here. Looks like when I pulled up the previous estimations, when I looked at the projections of what the industry was thinking, they were thinking anywhere from a 10 to 20% decrease versus previous weekend, which was about 104 million approximately. So if you look at it, past 3 days, you're looking at a 30 mil average, right? 32 mil, almost 40 mil, 25 mil. Yeah, a little over 30 mil. So you're looking at total 90 plus mil. So you don't have as large of a decrease. Factor in that, hey, today, Monday, MLK Day, another holiday, you're looking at a pretty decent, strong showing. So based on base projections, we know that 15% performance, you want 15% greater than previous year, same time period. AMC is well on its way of reaching 2022 January figures. So we're at 368 million versus 389 million. That's good job. We only have that's with 16 days in, so you're basically halfway through the month, but you're nearly at last year's same time period, last month's revenue. So you're definitely going to have a boom in January. You're going to beat that figure. Question becomes, how much more can you beat it by? Is it going to be anywhere near what it did 2019? I doubt it. 2019, 800 plus mil. I think it'll be far away from that. But you know what? It'll probably be beating that 15% increase. So that bodes well of the recovery. Question becomes, can they keep this momentum up? Will the releases, will the people be continuing to go and spending that money? And remember, it's not just ticket sales. You need lots of people going and spending money at the concessions. That's where it really counts to really help companies, not just AMC, but other movie theater companies like Cinemark. So that is that. Save that. Oops. And the final section is this. What I have here is an old ETF macro worksheet. I used to track a lot of the different various ETFs that held AMC, but also GameStop too. But this specific one was dedicated for the AMC tracking. So you had, how many was this? This was 53 different ETFs. This isn't even including all the various Vanguard ETFs that were involved holding in AMC positions. But this was daily tracked. I used to track this on a daily. This ranged anywhere from 50 to about 70 different ETFs I tracked on a daily basis. And you can see the movements of how many shares they're selling on that particular day, how many they're adding on a particular day. You can see that. The whole purpose of me wanting to refresh and revitalize this is the point that let's look at how many different firms are holding on to these positions of AMC. You had all these different companies. You had from iShares, JP Morgan, BNY Mellon, Van Eck, First Trust, Fidelity, Schwab, Goldman Sachs, Nationwide, Nuvian, Invesco, SPDR, SoFi, etc. You had Ultra Pro. You had all these different companies, all these different firms who had all these ETFs that had positions in AMC. So has that figure decreased? Has that increased? What are their total holdings? This was last updated. Well, I'm going to be updating this, but when I last updated, this was back December 13th, 2021. And I was looking to, and we'll see. I was able to track down about nearly 22 million shares of AMC. You can factor in the 40 plus million that Vanguard was holding. And we can see that. Remember, all these iShares are BlackRock. So we can see how many shares are pretty much almost locked up. We can see how many shares are in the market, how many are moving, because we can look at the movement here. So this is more along the lines to show that, you know what? Match it up with the 13F filings and see, are firms really adding to their positions? Are they subtracting? Are they subtracting from their positions? What is going on? I keep on hearing lots of claims. Oh, everyone's adding. Everyone's adding. Retail's buying more. We got more retail investors than before. And everyone's holding even more shares than before. Okay. And they're saying, oh, all these firms, they're just gonna keep on adding more and more shares. Let's put the real numbers to it. So what I'm doing is I'm going to the websites like Vanguard. I'm going through all the various ETFs. Vanguard Midcap ETF, Vanguard Russell 1000 Growth, etc. Vanguard Small Cap Growth, Vanguard Small Cap Values. And I'm going through all the different places. So you have all the BlackRock iShares. You got the Avantis, JP Morgan, BNY Mellon, Invesco, Vanguard, etc. This is all bookmarks I had from a lot of the old ones when I used to run it. So Schwab, Goldman Sachs, Rafi, etc. Look at all these different places. So I'm going to be updating this. And I mean, I use this as an initial starting point again to see how many ETFs exist right now that hold on to it. And this isn't kept up to date exactly day by day. So what I do is I'm going to be going to all the big places, the Goldman Sachs, the Schwabs, the Vanguards, the BlackRocks, the Invescos, the SPDR, etc. And I'm going to see, are these big firms, are they still holding on to their massive AMC positions? Because besides BlackRock, a lot of places, for example, let that run, like BlackRock, they'll update their holdings. So let's see. They'll tell you as of January 13th, they had exactly how many shares, and it was worth that much of that specific company. So, for example, this one no longer carries their iShares MSCI USA Equal Weighted ETF. EUSA is the ticker. They no longer carry any shares of AMC. They have Amcor. But as of January 13th, you get the exact knowing of what they held on that day. So I'm going to be showing that. I'm going to be showing you real data, real facts. This is all free. You can get it on the iShares, their BlackRock website. I download their Excel files, and we can see. Let the numbers, let the data speak for itself. I'm not going to be pulling numbers out of thin air. I'm not like Donnahue George. Let the data speak for itself. I'm all about being transparent, being truthful. So you can say that, oh, you're not bullish on AMC, so I'm not going to listen to you. Well, guess what? I only let the data dictate it. The data shows that it's bullish. Okay, it's bullish. The data shows it's bearish. It's bearish. If it's neutral, it's neutral. I'm just going to let the data dictate it. And I'll be clear once more. Right now, I got 0 positions in AMC, 0 positions in GME. I got no shares, no shorts, no options, no puts, no calls, no straddles, no butterflies, nothing. I have 0 position. I'm doing this just as a separate hobby. I got a full-time job that pays my bills. I'm not monetizing you. I'm not grifting off of you. I'm not pushing some sort of BS, Mubu, Robinhood, Webull, none of those affiliate links. I'm not selling you merch. I'm not selling Patreon, getting spots on some paid Discord. None of that nonsense. I'm not taking super chats, none of that stuff. All for free. I'm doing this DD. I'm not even into play. I'm just here to point out the grifters, the folks, the frauds, the people that are making money off of you, the folks pushing out the wrong information, hyping it up. They're making money off of you. And I want to call them out. If you put out the right info, good job. I'll support you. I support you if you're putting out the right information. But if you're going to be like Donnie and spread misinformation, I'm going to continue to call you out. It needs to be done. But that's where I'm going to end the video, folks. Thanks for watching. Hope you liked the content. Please hit the like, hit the subscribe, share this information with folks you think need to see it, that'll enjoy it. Let's spread the word. I'm providing you with real facts, not fake facts, not alternative facts. Until next time, folks, Shadow Stars out. Peace.